guys, Dr. Tammy here. We have a really fun video for you tonight. We're going to talk about shopping, one of my very, very favorite things. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure. I was going to doing some stuff around here and I think I'm on Instagram, but I really want to focus on TikTok because that seems like it's the easiest to respond. And so I've got a couple different screens here going. If you have questions, please the Ask Dr. Tammy stuff. Try to do it on TikTok if you can. So if you're on another platform, Instagram, Facebook, you might want to find me on TikTok, Dr. Tammy Tucker, and that way you can ask questions there. I will go back on the other platforms and try to answer your questions later when I see them. So you can still comment in there, but I won't see them live. And eventually I'm going to find somebody to do moderation for me. But for right now, everything's over here on live. So if you don't see me looking at you on any of the other platforms, I'm looking here. Let's see, I can move my screen over just a little bit. Okay, so if you guys have specific questions, you can ask. And what I'm going to do is try to answer those questions at the end. So as we get a little closer, if you don't see me jump in on something that's kind of not relevant to what I'm talking about just in that moment, make sure you ask them again. And so we're going to be here 30 minutes. And then towards the last 10 minutes, we'll do Q&A. So if you can save your questions till then, I'm going to try to get everybody answered. So anyway, we were talking about shopping, one of my very favorite things. However, I'm an extreme empath and introvert. And so going in stores sometimes is very overwhelming. In fact, my family tonight was talking about going to Target and it's Black Friday. I have never been in a store on Black Friday that I can remember. I mean, somebody might call me out on that, but I don't remember. Actually, no, that's not exactly true. I just remembered one time, and that is my son wanted a kayak, and it was like 50% off, and we live out in the country, so we have a little store not too far from here, and it's super small. It's like a tractor store, and we actually did get him a kayak. Very funny, crazy story, but they didn't have it. They had actually run out, and we were just a few minutes late. So we did have to drive across town to the other home farm store. And this is crazy because they actually held it for us. They weren't supposed to, but they held it for us. And so we got there and driving back, we literally had string that we tied on the top of the SUV, this kayak, and the wind was blowing. It was spitting snow. It was so cold. And that kayak was just like a sail up there. So, okay. So I actually have been in a store on Black Friday, but I am 55 years old. To say that is the only time, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago, you can kind of guess how much I hate going in the thought of store on Black Friday. And just last week, I tried to go into a home goods store and I couldn't even walk in there. And that wasn't even Black Friday. I mean, it was just so crowded. I couldn't even I couldn't even, I just I turned around and left. I was just like, this is not happening. So anyway, so my family, they were pretty brave. My fiance and his son, I think they made it to Walmart. I don't think they made it to Target, but they said it wasn't too bad. And they actually screen timed me in there looking at Christmas trees. So I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's okay. But anyway, so crowds are not a big deal. Shopping is not a big deal for me. I try to stay away from it, but I do like shopping online. And I will tell you that it is so easy to get caught up in buying stuff online. In fact, when I left the home goods store the other day, I was actually looking for cute little paper plates for Thanksgiving. And so I just walked out of there and I told my son, he was actually waiting in the truck for me. And I got on Amazon and I ordered stuff on my way home. And I told him, you know what? I'm just an Amazon shopper. And I think that that's very common because a lot of people make jokes and memes on the internet about how many boxes are on their front porch. And literally sometimes, I mean, I order all my paper goods, my toilet paper, soap, everything on comment if you do that too. But I order everything. So sometimes I come home and it looks like freaking Christmas on the front porch, but that's like when I'm stocking up on stuff and I try to keep inventory. Then the problem sometimes is that I order things because I can't sesame too. I order things because I don't remember what I have sometimes, and when you have so much of something, like, especially in the refrigerator. So, I don't know if this resonates with you, but what we're gonna talk about is hormones and shopping. And so what the heck does hormones have to do with shopping? Well, first of all, I wanna point out that if you have problems with shopping, the main way that you know that it is a problem is that if you feel guilty after you do it. So if you like go shopping for clothes or something like that, do you feel guilty that, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have bought all that? Or do you get that stuff home and you're thinking, I really didn't need that stuff? And do you hang it up and it just stays there with the tag, right? So that would be regret. So guilt or regret. Do you feel like you have to hide things? So if you're shopping so much that you think your family thinks that you might have a problem, do you feel like you're like sticking it right in the closet so that they don't see it? And are you stressed or angry about your shopping in any way? Does it make you feel like angry because you're like, why did I spend that? And I didn't really have the money for that. And do you think about like taking things back a lot? Or do then you like have that guilt and all that kind of stuff that goes on with that? So what I want to talk about is hormones. And I'm the hormone queen, and I mostly help women with menopause, right? But I also help women with perimenopause and also with estrogen dominance issues. And so you can have estrogen dominance after menopause if your hormones aren't done correctly, if they're not managed correctly, and if you have any sort of autoimmune things or thyroid issues, you can have what's called estrogen dominance. What is estrogen dominance? Estrogen dominance is, of course, when you have too much estrogen, but that's also when you don't have enough progesterone. And the problems that that creates, it can create endometriosis, it can create PCOS. And after menopause, if you have estrogen dominance, it can feel like you have PMS all the time. What does PMS feel like? Premenstrual syndrome, right? It feels like bloating. It feels like brain fog. It feels like craving things. It feels like craving sugar. It feels like you just can't settle in. So it says 43. I'm pretty sure I'm estrogen dominant, but nobody will test me. Um, Elsa, absolutely. Our website, I have totally created a program where women can get tested and can get hormone therapy and get balanced. And that site is called hormonebliss.com. Super easy to remember. So go check it out. And we actually have a Black Friday special where it's only $97 to get the testing. So if your doctor won't test you, you don't need a doctor. You got us, and we'll take care of you. If you suspect it's your hormones, I can pretty much guarantee you that it is your hormones. So, it's just a small little investment just to get your hormones checked and see if that's what it is. But I could tell you that it is, but I know that frustration too. And that's why I created my online program. But I digress just a little bit. Let's keep talking about shopping. So, there are lots of other hormones besides estrogen. And unfortunately, after menopause, when doctors hear the word hormones, they think estrogen and they'll tell you they cause cancer. Well, that's not true because bioidentical hormones, done the right way and the right balance, are very safe and actually protective. So, all that said, you do not want to be in perpetual estrogen dominance if you are perimenopause, which usually starts from the age of 35 on, or even after menopause, if a doctor has put an estrogen patch on you or is just giving you estrogen without progesterone, you can definitely be in estrogen dominance. I see 5 to 15 pounds of weight gain a year. So it's not a good thing to be estrogen dominant. And it can also throw your cortisol levels off, and cortisol is your main stress hormone. So that wraps us back into stress and dysregulation of your hormones. And when you are feeling dysregulation of your hormones, your brain, your primitive reptilian brainstem will do anything to try to make you feel better. And sometimes behaviors that are associated with a positive feeling, like shopping, can trigger that response. And that brain hormone that is mostly triggered is called dopamine. And dopamine is your happy, 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 best chocolate chip cookies ever, best Christmas memories, best birthday cake. I mean, it's just happy, happy, happy. It is that puppy love. It is when someone gives you a gift. Dopamine is like such a rush. And one of the problems with other addictive behaviors like methamphetamines or, with people on meth or cocaine is that that has a tremendous ability to increase dopamine. And the problem with that is people who use drugs like that are a cousin to adrenaline are disrupting their whole HPA axis, meaning their brain chemistry down to their adrenals. And so when that happens, it is really hard to get that balance back. And they are constantly chasing that dopamine rush. And it takes more and more and more of the drug. And it is just a vicious cycle. So sometimes with other behaviors, and the difference between why some people have more addictive behaviors than others, sometimes people will use shopping or relationships or all sorts of things. I mean, you can be addicted to gambling. All those things increase your dopamine. And here's the hardest addiction that everyone almost has some degree of, and that is sugar. And sugar actually lights up the brain just like cocaine. I mean, there's so many studies, don't take my word for it. Go look at all the research with the PET scans and everything. Lighting up the brain with sugar like cocaine is the same amount of dopamine release. So shopping on some degree can absolutely do that. And some people have more of addictive behaviors than others because they might have more adrenal stress or they might have more cortisol imbalance, might have estrogen. So there's so many things involved in that. So, one of the things that happens when you are estrogen dominant, and a lot of women know this, is that they crave things like chocolate. So, what chocolate does is increases a hormone called serotonin. And serotonin is your just peace, happy, just makes you feel good. So, to the degree that you crave things like chocolate or crave things like shopping, especially during the mid part of your menstrual cycle, is to the degree that you have estrogen dominance or hormone imbalance, female hormone imbalance. And so, wow, maybe that's a thing. Maybe I'll just go with that and say a questionnaire. Do you crave shopping during a certain time of the month that does it not go away? Or do you crave chocolate? Because to the degree that that is like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. That is to the degree that your female hormones are unbalanced. And if you're irritable, that's to the degree that your hormones are unbalanced. So, you know what? If we want to play that out all the way to needing a hysterectomy from estrogen dominance and heavy bleeding and all that, we could do that. But maybe we just start with a questionnaire. Do you crave chocolate and like to shop? So, just simple things like that can tell us, but we're not trained to think that way. Doctors are not trained to think that way. When I was in med school, they basically were grooming us to be glorified legal drug dealers on every level. And, it comes down to big pharma just, owns this. And I'm probably not supposed to talk that way, but it's just like you have to get outside the box and you have to ask questions and do your own research and get off the first page of Google because the truth is not always right there where you need to see it. So you can't stop there. You have to keep looking. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about because I told you I would give you some tips to recognize emotional spending. So, one of the things when you are thinking about spending or shopping or doing something, really crazy or more than, just a little bit or more than grocery shopping or more than like just going nuts buying presents and things, um, ask, is this out of boredom? Is this because I'm sad? Is this because I need to celebrate? So, those certain things that make you think about what am I feeling? So, before you buy anything, check in with yourself, take a deep breath, and say, what is this state that I'm in? What am I feeling right now? Okay. Am I bored? Okay, just breathe through that and say, okay, I'm bored. I don't really need that thing on Amazon. I don't really need that light up night light that plays music in three languages. Just am I bored or what am I saying? Or on TikTok, and everybody loves TikTok shop. That's wonderful. I'm on TikTok TikTok shop as well. Everybody's got their business. Everybody's, trying to promote their goods and services, especially around this time of year. So there's nothing wrong with shopping. I'm just trying to say if it's a problem, kind of like when someone has an alcohol problem, is it affecting your work? Is it affecting the family? Is it affecting oh, and I'm sorry, happy tennis. I'm gonna come back to that because you talked about hormones, and sleep and skin are suffering. So I'm gonna come back to that, at the end too. So and you can message me again and remind me too. Um, but, there are so many different emotions that go in when we're feeling certain things. So you really just have to check in with yourself. And then if you are thinking, I am just bored right now, I need to stop this behavior, turn off your phone for a minute and then ask, do I really need this? And I get it, there are needs and there are wants, but if it is an impulse buy and you've never thought that you ever needed that thing ever before until you just saw it, social media is so much about trying to get you to impulse buy, and that's really what some of those that's what QVC is. I have a friend who, she's an elderly lady and she orders from QVC almost every single day. And it's just she's bored and she doesn't have anything else to do. And she's sitting around and there's QVC, and so she watches that because they're all happy and they're all having fun and they're talking about how much this changed their life. And so if you are discontent in your life or, again, bored, discontent, and there are these people saying, this will change your life, this will make everything great. That's when you really need to stop and go, but will it? Is that really the thing that will really make my life great? And of course, hormones really will make your life great. So I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But and then FTC says what percentage hormone is good. Okay, so we'll come back to like hormones and if you can take them or can't take them, but a little bit more about shopping. Okay, so here's a couple tips, and then I'll go into some questions because I promised you I would. Okay, so couple tips that you can do besides just breathing and asking, what's my emotional state? And asking, do I really need this? Is a journal. I'm all about journals, writing everything down. And, one of the things I do are goal journals and gratitude journals, which are wonderful for balancing your hormones because gratitude's a beautiful thing to help you feel better and lower stress. But write things down, and not everybody likes to write, but if you can just write everything down that you're shopping and in fact, it's interesting because my friend that's the elderly lady who buys on QVC all the time, she actually said she learned money management from her dad when she was about 16, and he made her get a journal, and for, like, 6 months, write everything, whether it was a candy bar, whatever it was, she had to write it down, so she had a real mindfulness about what she's buying. And I know that people have QuickBooks and they can check their bank account. And, now the problem is everything's so automated that you don't even realize what's coming out. You have subscriptions and your Apple subscription probably that you've never even checked or haven't checked in a long time, stuff that you're paying for that you don't even like remember or realize that you're paying for. So, maybe that's a good thing to go back through there and check and see what some of those, you know, subscriptions are that you thought in an impulse buy, "Oh, yeah, I need that app," or whatever, and you've never looked at it again, some photo app or, maybe it was something to make your life better and then it didn't, so go back and cancel those because some of those can be pricey. I go back in and every once in a while and there'll be like 12.99 a month. That adds up at the end of the year. So okay, so write everything down. And even if you have one of those apps that are tracking, if you have to manually write down everything that you buy, including toilet paper, including groceries, you really get a mindfulness of what you're spending every day. Okay, this is a cool one. It's called a purchase pause. So, what is a purchase pause? Well, some people say that you can set a time frame, and a 24-hour time frame is supposed to be the most realistic. And I've done that too. I used to do, especially when I used to go shopping, like Dillard's or whatever, I would look in the store and I would say, I'll come back tomorrow or this weekend. And if it's still there, then I'll buy it. And if it's not, I didn't need it. I don't need it right now. And I always do that kind of it's meant to be kind of thing. I don't know if it's meant to be for me to have that cashmere sweater, but if it's there, I will buy it. But the key is that I had time over 24 hours or till the weekend to think, do I really need that? And I absolutely do that with larger purchases. Oh, FTC says most people don't even know GarageBand is on their phone. Yeah, exactly. You don't even know what you're paying for sometimes. Um, but if it's like a coat or something like that, I will really think about it. And, I just have a mindfulness about I have a mindfulness about abundance. And so I try not to be really restricted in my thinking, but I'm also realistic. And I like to also think, I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on certain things if I could spend money on other things, or if I could spend money on someone else, or if I have some charity I want to donate to. I'm like thinking, do I really need all that little stupid stuff or go on a shopping spree? Wouldn't that be a better use of my money? And so I try to be really mindful about stuff like that. And then, if I order something from Amazon, you can send stuff back. If you haven't used it, it's so easy to send stuff back. So if you get it, or even after you order it or it showed up at your house and you're like, why the heck did I do that? Then send it back. I mean, you're not stuck with it, and you don't have to like become one of those people on hoarders or something like that that have all this stuff in their house. I mean, you don't have to keep it if it doesn't fit. And even shopping in stores sometimes, as long as you haven't used it, pack it up, take it back. So yeah, you're not stuck with anything, right? Okay. And nobody likes to hear the dirty word budget. It's not fun. And because it takes away from our feeling of instant gratification, which is a huge dopamine rush. So there's hormones, right? And it reduces our cortisol and it increases our oxytocin, our feel good hormone, and our serotonin, our dopamine. But it's not long lived, and if the crash from the dopamine crash is worse afterward, that causes you to feel the guilt, the shame, the anger, the hiding, the upset behavior, then it's just not worth it. So some of these mindfulness behaviors could really be helpful. So, okay, last thing, there are some apps on the phone that you can get that will track your buying purchases. And I think QuickBooks, which is usually the accounting software that most people use, has some degree of that. So, checking, I'm really not a detail oriented person. So it's almost painful for me to, and a lot of people don't even do this. I don't even think younger kids these days know what it even means to reconcile a checkbook. I mean, we used to have to do that because it was all manual and you had to write it. That really does make me sound old, doesn't it? But a lot of people don't even go in their bank account and look. And every time I go in my bank account, I always find discrepancies of things that shouldn't be there. So at least go in every week, once a week, and just see what's coming out of your account. I've had my account hacked. I mean, I can't even tell you the times that, people have like gone through PayPal or something like that, and that was coming out of my account. So just go look. It doesn't hurt anything. At least, I won't say once a month because that's like not even safe, but at least once a month. Okay. Um, okay. So hormones. Someone asked, dry skin, not feeling good. Can I take hormones? So there is a huge lie about hormone therapy, especially after menopause or perimenopause. And you absolutely can. And if you tried hormones and you felt worse, it wasn't the right dose. End of story. And you need to find someone who can help you find the right dose. And there are people out there. So, again, don't settle and don't suffer. Boy, that should be my mantra. Don't settle, don't suffer. So, yes, and there are safe forms, especially if you go through topical and you're not going through your liver metabolism, and if you're using organic, what we call bioidentical, and especially if they're compounded and they're made specifically, I can even talk specifically for you. So there are definitely safe ways, and most commercial doctors, I call them, have no idea how to do that. So you're going to have to get outside the box and find somebody that can. And then Sammy Doodle says, should I be, it's so cute. Should I be worried with low prolactin? So prolactin is a hormone that usually has for breast discharge. or let down. So when you're breastfeeding, and you can have elevated prolactin or low prolactin. Usually, a low prolactin is not a big deal. However, it can indicate that the hormone, the gland in your head called the pituitary gland, is not functioning properly. And oftentimes we'll check prolactin if someone has breast discharge and they're not breastfeeding. And in men, we can check prolactin because you can look for other causes of testosterone deficiency. So, prolactin is usually, when it's elevated, can be from a tumor in the pituitary, and it's usually a benign tumor, but it still needs worked up. And prolactin and thyroid and cortisol, all those hormones can interfere with the uh, feedback loop. We call it the HPA axis. And so that can mean that you have an endocrine problem somewhere else. So that absolutely needs to be worked up, but not necessarily a bad thing if it's low, but if it's high, it usually indicates a problem. And then Nancy said, "What kind of doctor prescribes these? What do you mean by someone?" Unfortunately, medical doctors, for the most part, and I am one, don't get any menopause training in med school. And it's very disheartening because 50% of our population are women, and 50% of women are over the age of 50. So a quarter of our population are menopausal females. So this is not just a small group of people. And 100% of women will experience menopause if they live past the age of 50. And so the definition of menopause is just a year without periods. So that's not even what we're worried about. We're not worried about going a year without periods. Heck, I don't miss my periods at all. It was almost one of the worst experiences of my life having periods. So the word menopause, that doesn't mean anything. That's just a year of not having periods and then you're done. What the problem is ovarian failure. Your ovaries literally die. Just like if your thyroid gland was ablated or removed, your ovaries are removed by nature. They literally dry up because you're born with all the eggs you're ever going to have. And once those eggs are gone, your ovaries literally dry up because you can do an ultrasound on a woman 5 years out after menopause and you can't even see the ovaries. So if you didn't have a thyroid, they would give you thyroid hormone. What is so wrong with a woman who has no ovarian function to give her ovarian hormones? And it is criminal that we have to dry up, that our skin has to dry up, that we have to start peeing our pants, that we have to get wrinkles, that we have to, get heart disease and break bones. So it's just nuts that doctors don't get menopause training. Why don't they? Because Big Pharma wants them to prescribe antidepressants. 60% of women are on sleeping aids after menopause, and 40%, maybe even higher, are on antidepressants. That is nuts. And yet we just accept that, like, oh, okay, when the doctor says you're just depressed, here's your Prozac, here's your Effexor, your Wellbutrin. And we should have the choice of having our natural hormones restored. So when I say someone, it's someone that understands menopause, that understands that it's not just a year without periods, it is forever. You will never regrow ovaries again. That's the person that you want handling it. And the beauty is, I've been in practice almost 25 years, and I got so sad by the women who didn't understand the truth, who didn't understand their options. And so I created my program, Hormone Bliss. And what I'm doing is helping perimenopausal and menopausal women, or women who have any kind of estrogen dominance disorders, PMS, PMDD, endometriosis, to help them get their balance back. And you do not need a doctor to do that. That's a big lie too. And that's what some of these doctors out here and that do specialize in bioidentical hormones and stuff, you don't have to have a doctor, but you do need someone who can guide you through the process. And so we have a program that you can come in, and health coaches can help you, and you can get bioidentical hormones and get balanced. But you're going to need someone to walk you through it, because if you've never known anything about bioidentical hormones, or you've never known anything about how to get balanced, or you've been afraid, I have women who have been on hormones for years, and they'll still go out in the community and somebody will hear you on hormones and then say you're going to get cancer, and they'll come back scared to me. So the study in 2002 that scared everybody was a big big misinformation campaign. I mean, it was so bad. And it's crazy because you have to ask yourself, if HRT caused cancer, then why do 9-year-old girls get prescribed the same hormones every single day, and we call it birth control? But we have no ovaries. Those girls have ovaries. They don't need it. I mean, maybe not to get pregnant, that's fine, but we need it. We absolutely need it. So, anyway, okay. I know it's 7:30. My family's wanting to go to dinner and it's Black Friday night. I just wanted to tell you that we do have a special going on right now. Hormone Bliss. You can go on, and our hormone test kit is usually 300 bucks and it's only $97, but the sale ends tonight at midnight. So if you're going to do it, or if you've thought about it, now's the time. You can check your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels. You do it in the comfort of your own home. You buy the kit, we send it to you, you spit in the tube, you send it back, and one of our coaches will get on the phone and talk to you about what's going on and what your options are and how you can get organic, natural based bioidentical hormones and get that balance back, and then tweak it, because almost every woman has to have her hormones switched around because every woman's different. So that is my passion. And my goal before I leave this earth is that at least 50% of women at least know their options and are feeling better on something. And there are so many women. After that study in 2002, we went from 60% on HRT to a year later, half, 30% of women on HRT. And now, 20 years later, 5% of women are on HRT. You ask around any woman after 50, you will find out that there are not many women on HRT. And it's just so, so sad. So, yeah, you don't have to be one of them. You don't have to be one that takes it laying down and just goes to the grave with broken bones and dried up skin and mood changes and weight gain. Weight gain is one of the biggest things. Um, through Linktree. You know what? TikTok and Instagram are super, super new to me. And so yeah, Linktree, yes. On Instagram, I do have a Linktree, but it is hormonebliss.com. So if you just go there, or if you leave a comment, I'll come back and I'll send you the link too to go order the kit as well. And yeah, you'll see it when you go to Hormone Bliss. You can take a quiz that will answer questions about whether it could, could be your hormones and help you that way. But then it'll take you right to the shop page and you can order a hormone kit. And it's super, super easy. Full transparency, it's not easy spitting in a tube. It's kind of gross. And it takes a few minutes and you got to think about lemons and like trying to create some saliva. But it's super easy to do. We do have blood spot tests where you can prick your finger too. So we have different options. But um, let's see. Good evening. What are your thoughts on? Oh, okay. Never mind. Kim says, I want the kit, please. Yay. Yes, please. Please get it. Go to hormonebliss.com. And it's just, it'll be so valuable. And even just having the information, but our coaches are super, super, super smart. And all the protocols are the protocols that I have written. And it is based on almost my 25 years experience. So we can get your hormones better. We can get you on bioidentical progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. We have so many options and you can feel so amazing. So anyway, my family's waiting outside to go to dinner. I love y'all very much. Please have a wonderful evening. I'm doing this every night at 7 o'clock. So bring your questions, tell your friends. I mean, where else are you going to get a doctor to come talk to you for 30 minutes and tell you the actual truth? And just be available for your questions. So like, why wouldn't you? And why wouldn't you tell your friends? Almost everybody has some sort of medical thing going on. So it's like, why wouldn't you? So not every night, you don't have to be here, but hey, just know I'm here. TikTok, 7 o'clock. I don't know how long I'll keep doing it. As it's like, some days it's like, oh, I forgot I have to do that tonight. So we kind of postpone dinner a little bit late tonight. And it's like, but I know that you guys need me. So I'll keep showing up as long as you guys keep showing up. So, okay. Again, I love you. Night night.